Before I start, let me just say this. I always thought I was a pretty good judge of character. I'm cautious, careful about who I trust. But nothing could have prepared me for what happened. I never thought my kindness would lead me into a nightmare. One, I barely escaped. My name is Sara, and this is my story. It started at the coffee shop where I worked part-time while finishing my degree. I'd seen him before, a quiet middle-aged man who always sat in the same corner booth, nursing a black coffee for hours. He was polite enough, always tipping generously and making small talk. One evening, as I was cleaning tables, he struck up a conversation. "You must work really hard," he said, his voice soft but steady. "You're here every time I come in." I smiled politely. "Just trying to pay the bills, you know." "That's admirable," he said. "You remind me of my daughter." It seemed harmless enough. He talked about his family, how he'd lost touch with his daughter after his divorce. He seemed lonely, and I felt a pang of sympathy. I didn't think twice about it when he asked for my name. "Sara," I told him. He smiled. "Sara? That's a beautiful name." The next week, I noticed a bouquet of roses on the counter when I came into work. The card read, "To Sara, the hardest working girl I know, from your admirer." I thought it was sweet, maybe even flattering, until I saw him sitting in his usual booth, watching me with a strange intensity. My stomach twisted, but I convinced myself it was innocent. "He's just a lonely old man," I told myself. But then the messages started. Notes left at the shop, emails to my personal account, even handwritten letters in my mailbox. They weren't overtly threatening, but they were unsettling. He'd talk about how he thought about me all the time, how he'd never let anything bad happen to me. He mentioned details about my life, things I'd never told him. "I love the way you braid your hair when you're stressed. I saw you walking home the other night. You should be more careful." I started to feel like I was being watched. Everywhere I went, I couldn't shake the feeling of eyes on me. One night, as I was walking home from a late shift, I heard footsteps behind me. I quickened my pace, my heart pounding. The footsteps quickened too. When I turned the corner onto my street, I glanced back and saw him, just a few yards behind me. "Sara!" he called out, his voice calm and steady. "Wait, I just want to talk." I ran. I didn't stop until I was inside my apartment with the door locked and bolted. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely dial 911. The police came, took a report, and assured me they'd patrol the area. But they didn't seem to take it seriously. "He's probably harmless," one of them said. Harmless. That word echoed in my mind as I found a note slipped under my door the next morning. "You can't hide from me, Sara. We're meant to be together." I started staying with friends, too terrified to be alone in my apartment. But he found me anyway. He showed up outside my best friend's house, sitting in his car, watching. She called the police, but he was gone by the time they arrived. The breaking point came one night when I was home alone. I woke up to the sound of glass shattering. My bedroom window. Panic surged through me as I grabbed my phone and locked myself. In the bathroom, I could hear him moving through the apartment, his voice calm and almost gentle. "Sara, don't be scared. I just want to talk." I was shaking so badly I could barely dial 911. The dispatcher stayed on the line with me, but those minutes felt like hours. I could hear him trying the bathroom door, the doorknob rattling. "You can't ignore me forever, Sara," he said. "I'll always find you." When the police arrived, they found him in the hallway, holding a knife. He was arrested and I thought it was over. But the fear didn't go away. Every creak of a floorboard, every shadow outside my window made my heart race. He was charged with stalking and breaking and entering, but he only served 6 months. 6 months for ruining my life. When he got out, I moved across the country, changed my name, and cut ties with everyone who might know where I was. But even now, years later, I can't shake the fear. I still sleep with a chair wedged under the doorknob. I avoid social media. Sometimes I'll catch a glimpse of someone who looks like him, and my blood runs cold. I'll never forget his voice, calm and steady, as he said, "I'll always find you.